How to source Primal diet food. So, first off, your meat. You can just get your meat at the grocery store. Even if it's not grass-fed, as long as it's fresh, that's what matters. The toxins mainly store in the organs. The conventional meat, generally speaking, it's fine. I've never had a problem with it. The chicken, I won't eat it unless it's pasture-raised. And even then, sometimes it's still not good enough quality because it can still be fed a terrible diet on a pasture. But beef, it's easy to find. Sprouts is my favorite place. In Missouri, there's a store called Fresh Time. It's basically the same as Sprouts. That's where I grew up, Missouri. But Sprouts has pretty good meat, grass-fed meat. And the eggs, well, there's a few different websites you can use, which I'll put in the description. But there's like Local Hens, there's Eat Wild, there's Real Milk Finder, there's Weston A. Price Organization. So the easiest solution would be to start with Weston A. Price. Find the nearest chapter leader to you and ask them for the resource list. And so the Weston A. Price Organization is an organization that helps people find food and provides information for health, but it's not accurate information because it's not primal. It's not primal. There's a lot of issues that come with it, but it's better than standard American. But to become a leader in an area, this organization, you have to find all the foods in your area and provide it to people who ask. And so on that list, you get some good leads. So when you find the people for the eggs, you ask them for a picture of the feed ingredients. You don't want to ask them if there's soy in it, because some of them are stupid and will say, oh, there's not soy in it, because they look at the front and it doesn't say anything about soy. But you flip the back and the first ingredient is soybean meal. So you want to get a picture of the ingredient label. And so if there's soybean in it, if there's canola bean, any of that type of stuff, canola, soy, it's bad. If there's GMO corn, it's bad. I will not eat soy eggs. I will eat soy chicken meat, but I will not have soy eggs because they affect me worse. You don't want to have a lot of soy in the meat either, but some people need to have the chicken, even if it's not perfect quality, or else they are not going to be mentally stable people. So a lot of people, it's very important that they are eating the chicken, even if it's not the perfect quality, but has to at least be pasture raised. Some people still eat the free range, which is not raised outdoors completely. So a lot of I've never found eggs that don't have something bad in them. Maybe once recently I found a farmer that said he doesn't feed them anything, they just eat what's outside. But still, I was suspicious of it. He fed the cows alfalfa pellets, and I don't know if they're processed with other things in it. The chickens were eating it, but when I tasted it, I don't know. But the chicken feed almost always has supplements in it, which are never good. Agenus teaches there's no such thing as a good supplement. It's all chemically processed. It's never good, even if it's natural or comes from food. Chemically processed. So almost all I've ever seen has supplements in it. But as long as there's not soy or canola or GMO corn, it's generally good enough. There's also fish meal, which is very bad, highly processed. Oyster shell, it's bad, has a lot of heavy metals in it because that's where oysters store their toxins. So we're not gonna have perfect quality food right now. Maybe Healthfully Farm can provide that, but limited supplies. So we can't get everything we need right now in perfect quality. So the progress we could make, it's not as good as what it could be. The progress we're going to make, but you can still make great progress. So find good enough eggs. The chicken, Sprouts has good chicken generally, like good enough chicken. Whole Foods pasture raised chicken, I don't think it's as good as Sprouts, but they have it, which I will eat. Now raw milk, Real Milk Finder. You use the Real Milk Finder website to find raw milk. Expect to drive 1 to 2 hours every 1 to 2 weeks to get your milk. And if you can't find milk on there, then you're gonna have to try harder. Ask Weston A. Price again. Ask every surrounding county on Weston A. Price. If you still can't find it, you can order online. Go to the Primal Diet Guide I have. Go to the sourcing list, and you can find places to order food from. But if you want to find it local, go to every single farmer market in your area. Talk to every single farmer and ask them if they know anybody, or if they even know anybody who might know somebody. And so you got your meat, got your eggs, chicken, got your milk, vegetables for juice, celery, carrot, cucumber. You get it from the grocery store organic. You always peel your cucumbers because of the petroleum wax. The issue with buying from the grocery store is they spray the produce every few minutes with a chemical solution. So again, we're not going to have the proper quality foods that we need until we develop this Primal Diet Food Network system. So we have to get more people on the diet because there's not enough people on the diet to support this system because there's not enough demand for it. So if we want the proper foods, we have to get more people on the diet. So in order to handle the chemical solution being sprayed on our celery, you have to add a little bit of clay to all your juice. And that will solve that problem. And I explain how to prepare the clay properly in my guide. So just Control F or find a page through my guide, search clay. Okay? Now, honey. Really Raw honey is a good brand from the grocery store. Weeby is generally good, but sometimes they're fed sugar. Not every year. It's kind of gambling, but Really Raw is good. A lot of farmers will say their honey is not heated, but it is warmed to pour. If honey is heated above 93 degrees, if it's fed sugar or corn syrup or any supplements, it's ruined. And that is most honey. So the best place to find the honey, aside from Whole Foods or Sprouts or something like that, Really Raw, you go to the farmer market and you talk to the beekeepers. What temperature do you think is best to heat your honey for pouring? And the thing is, you ask it like that because you say it hasn't been heated above 93 degrees. If they're a piece of shit, they're going to lie to you so that you buy it. But if you ask them what temperature is best, I don't know. It's kind of like maybe a better way because you're not revealing what you're looking for exactly. And what supplements do you give your bees? What type of sugar do you feed the bees in the off season? You know, what you want to hear is we don't heat it at all. And when you say that you don't warm it at all to pour, does it ever sit in the sun at the farmer market? Do you put it in the sun or do you keep it in the shade? Does it ever sit outside like in the sun at all? You know, does it ever get in a hot shed that goes above 93 degrees? Like, and you don't want to hear any sugar, no corn syrup, no supplements. And you can find honey. You can find honey. It's not super hard, but you do have to ask these questions. The bee pollen. It's really hard to find the bee pollen. It's almost always not fresh enough to be consumed. If it's hard and doesn't crumble, it's not good. It has to be refrigerated. Frozen will not work either. Okay, now let's talk about cream. A lot of farms that sell raw milk also sell cream. And the thing is, if they sell cream, it's very likely that they have skim milk that they dump down the drain, which you could buy for very cheap or get for free for making your cheese. Or they feed it to pigs. So you can usually get your cream. If they have butter, almost every single farm always freezes their butter. So you can ask them, next time you make butter, can you save some fresh for me? If they say no, say, well, what if I buy 20 pounds? Then they might say yes. And you have to make sure it has no salt. Generally speaking, you're going to have to buy the cream and make the butter yourself or order online. If you say that your farm doesn't sell cream, you're going to have to extract it from the milk yourself. Yes, it's a pain in the ass. It is essential that you do that. You have to have cream. You have to have butter in your diet, or you are not going to produce good results. You're not going to feel well. Most people will not feel well without it. So you extract the cream from the milk and you use some of that to make butter, and you keep some of the cream for your milkshakes. And then the skim milk, you ferment it into curds, and then you dry it. And then you eat that for your mineral supplement with honey. And that's your cheese and honey. And you can dry it and have some of it for the cheese trains. Save a little bit for eating in the morning on an empty stomach to absorb the detox before you have your first raw egg. And okay, you get your meat, make sure you scrape the meat that you get outside just in case there's chemicals. Ideally, you buy the meat and pack in vacuum sealed bags in the back. You say, I want to get the grass-fed meat that's still vacuum sealed in the cooler. And I want the cheapest cut there is. That's what you ask for. And you get like a 7-pound bag, and it's usually $1 per pound cheaper. And instead of getting individual steaks with the saran wrap, which is very toxic, and the piece of paper, which is also toxic, you get this big thing with only one layer of plastic on the outside, and that plastic that's vacuum sealed is not as toxic as the saran wrap. So then you can just scrape the outside once, and it's done. You put it in jars, you're good. And then you can pate it, you can dice it. What I've noticed is if I pate bulk meat, sometimes the hemoglobin, the juice comes out of the meat, and the meat turns gray. And if I eat that meat after it turns gray, sometimes I can't digest it. So what I do now is I only pate 2 or 3 days of meat at a time to prevent that from happening. And when I say I can't digest it, I mean it gives me diarrhea. It's like too liquidy. I don't know. But you buy your meat in that bulk package. You usually save some money. It's cleaner like that. If you buy the individual packs, it's fine. Store it in glass in the fridge. Don't keep it in the plastic. Here's the thing. It's not the end of the world if it sits in the plastic for a little bit. I've had meat sit in the plastic in my van for 3 days and, turn brown and get kind of dry. I scrape it anyway, eat it, I'm fine. Is it ideal? Am I getting some toxins from that? I probably am getting some toxins from that. But you should put it in glass in the fridge. Okay, I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just using that as an example if you don't have to be scared. Chicken that I've gotten from Whole Foods, I've had it sit in the fridge and get stinky on me. And I've ate that on 3 or 4 separate occasions and gotten very sick from it. Why is it that I can let the beef sit out but not the chicken? Well, the only 2 things I can think of is the chicken sat in the plastic and the chemicals in the plastic ruined it. But the meat sat in the plastic too. It's a different type of plastic though, saran wrap versus the other one. But the saran wrap is more toxic. I don't know. Everybody's so scared about the chemicals in chicken. The bacteria in chicken, so maybe they put some antibacterial solution in the chicken packaging. Maybe that's why I got sick, because there's chemicals. Or because the chickens are dipped in boiling water to remove the feathers after they're butchered. Maybe that's why, because maybe it's not 100% raw. I don't know. So I tell you, only eat the chicken if it's 100% fresh. Does that mean if you're eating a chicken that's fresh, you're still getting some chemicals and it might be poisoning you slightly? I guess so. You can't really scrape the chicken, but one thing I noticed is when I wash the chicken in raw way being the juice that comes out of the cheese, when you're making cheese, it lasts longer, like twice as long. I noticed that. I tried that once. So, sourcing your food, you get your meat, vegetables, fruit from the store. Your berries, you always wash your berries, and you wash it in whey with a dash of vinegar and a little bit of milk. And you can reuse that solution for 2 weeks for washing your berries. If you don't have that, you can use well water. And where do you get well water? You get it from your farmer when you buy the raw milk or buy your raw eggs. Well water with a little bit of vinegar, raw apple cider, and milk. You can wash your berries in that. Berries almost always have pesticides, so you have to wash them. So I'd say I covered just about everything. If there's anything I forgot, I'll put it in the description or comments.